Hey guys, quick intro for this week's video. I'm going to be talking about religion, so I don't know how this is going to go, nor do I really, honestly, truthfully, nor do I really care. I feel like this is something I've been led to share for a while. I've actually been, I've been dawdling on it, I've been putting it off, I've been pushing it down, I've been suppressing it, and I've decided that it's time to go ahead and do this video. This video is not meant to call anybody out. It's also not meant to bring anybody down at all. This is just a video to bring awareness of what I believe in and my belief system. And like I said, I'm not calling anybody out or bringing anybody down. The two people that I do shout out are to Dina Danielle and Morgan Danielle. And I know that they both follow me, and I follow them as far as, when I say follow, I mean follow on Facebook, on YouTube. I have actually been sitting here since I've completed the videos. I've been sitting here for about, I'd say 20-30 minutes debating on if I was actually going to upload and edit these videos together. This will be a two-part video because YouTube only allows a 15-minute video, and both of my videos were well over 15 minutes. So I will condense this and edit it down and make them as short as I can, but it will be a two-part video. So there will be a part one and a part two. So this is part one that you're about to watch. I request that if you are going to watch both of these videos in entirety, that you have an open mind, because I am not the person that I was when I was 9 and 10 years old. I'm not the person that I was when I was 13 and 14 years old. I am a completely different person from back then, and I just request that you guys come with light and with love, and that you guys come with an open mind so that you can understand where I am in my life and what I am doing with my life. That is the one thing that I request. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into these videos. I've been telling you guys for a while now that I would go into this video, and it's taken me a long time to go ahead and go into it. However, I feel like the time is right. Sorry, my dog's in here. I feel like the time is right, and I feel like I can go ahead and do this video now. I may lose a bunch of followers. I may not lose. I may gain. I don't know. But I'm not afraid to do this video anymore. Before, I was really hesitant about it, and I was really not wanting to do it because I didn't want to lose the few followers that I had. However, I feel like it's time to do this video. So, without further ado, I'm going to go into the story of my upbringing and what I believe in. Growing up, I never really went to church, except for maybe once in a while. And also growing up, my sister was like a second mom to me, and she meant a lot. And when she got married when I was 3, they started taking me every weekend, basically. And so I was my parents Monday through Friday, and then I was with my sister on the weekends. And that was pretty regular. When I was 4, we bought a house that had a separate, what they call a granny flat, which is basically just a separate house that's kind of, it's attached, it's on the same property, but it's separated from the actual main house. And we called it the little house. Well, my sister and my brother-in-law moved into the little house. Like, that's how close our family was growing up. And so when I was in elementary school, I want to say I was 3rd or 4th grade, I started going to church with them. I was like 8 or 9, probably 9 or 10. I think I was 4th grade. And we started going to church regularly. They had some friends at one of the churches, and so we started going regularly. Well, by that time, we had already sold that house with the little house, and my sister was living across town from us. And we lived on one side, they lived on the other. And so I started going to church with them regularly because I was with them every weekend. So I'd be with my parents Monday through Friday. I'd be with my sister Saturday, Sunday. And so that's just kind of how it worked. So I did everything with my sister on the weekend. So if she went and got a pedicure, I went with her. If we went to the mall, if we went to go see her grandma that lived in Sacramento, like, I just was always with my sister on the weekends and doing whatever she was doing. So they started going to church, and I started going with them. And it was a really great church. I met a lot of friends, and I'm still in contact with a lot of people from that church. Um, it was a Nazarene church, which really has nothing to do with it other than its Christian denomination. So I started going to the Nazarene church when I was young. Um, in my teens, my brother-in-law was a youth pastor at that point. So I was kind of like, I was in a roundabout way, I was a pastor's kid. Um, because I attended church with them and I was with them all the time. And so I just kind of became like this example to live up to, if you would say that. And so my parents at that time were still not going to church, and I became at that point, jokingly, what you would say, a Bible thumper. I carried my Bible with me everywhere. So by junior high, I was carrying my Bible with me in my backpack. I was attending the Bible club that my school had. So much so that my brother-in-law ended up coming to the Bible club a couple times to share a message. Just very, very involved with the church, very, very involved with my school club, very, very involved with that religion. And so my sister had her first son while I was in junior high, and I was helping raise him, or so I felt. I felt like I was helping raise him. I was there a lot helping take care of him. When my sister worked, he was brought to my mom's house where I lived, so we all would pitch in and take care. So when I came home from school, I would take over caring for him, type of thing. And I was probably 12 or 13 at the time. So we would just spend a lot of time together, like a lot of time together. And so all the youth events I would go to, I was very, very involved. I was in the worship band at one point, like just very involved with the church. Well, I was too young to understand what was going on. So don't quote me because I don't know exactly what happened, but basically the church ended up splitting. Like the best way to put it is the church ended up splitting, and it wasn't very pretty. And the senior, not the senior pastor.
The word I was looking for here is associate pastor.
Church of the Nazarene has 3 different levels of pastor. There's like a youth pastor, this middle pastor, and then the senior pastor. The senior pastor ended up leaving. The middle pastor, which I don't remember the name of.
So not interim, but the associate pastor. So the pastor in between youth and senior pastor.
That pastor ended up moving with his family to Texas, and we were really close with them. And my brother-in-law was the youth pastor. So when the church ended up splitting, my brother-in-law didn't have a job anymore. And that middle pastor had actually been out here in Texas for a while. But basically, it ended up he needed a youth pastor, and my brother-in-law came to visit, fell in love with it out here, and decided to move his family out here. So my close, tight-knit family of my parents, my sister, and brother-in-law, they had 2 kids at this point now, and myself was being broken up. And by this point, I'm in high school. My brother-in-law helped me find a church that was close by to my parents' house because, again, at this point, my parents still aren't going to church. And so I was kind of left on my own. And I wasn't able, the old church was on the other side of town. And because of everything that had happened, it wasn't a good situation to keep going to that church. At least that's what I was told, I believe. So I just remember I couldn't go to that church anymore. And it wasn't just because I couldn't get a ride, it was other factors as well. So
fast forward, I'm now in high school. My sister and brother-in-law have left to Texas. I'm now attending a Presbyterian church with my best friends from high school.
And made a whole bunch of new friends. And all of a sudden, the teenage drama, I'm
going to this Presbyterian church. I'm no longer held to the standards I was at the Nazarene church.
Because I didn't know anybody in this church. I was just another face in the crowd, and I loved that. So, but I was going to church for the wrong reasons. I was going to be with my friends. I wasn't going for the message. I wasn't going for worship. I was going to sit with my friends for a couple hours. And that quickly went downhill. There was a guy there that decided to start a whole bunch of drama between me and my 2 best friends. And I'm not innocent in it because I fed into the drama, but I was also a teenager at the time. So one thing led to another, and there was just a bunch of drama, and I didn't feel like I could attend that church anymore. So I stopped going to church for a while. By the time I graduated high school. I had already come out to Texas probably 3 or 4 times. And I just knew that this is where I needed to be. I needed a fresh start. This is where I wanted to be. So after I turned 18, I graduated high school, I was able to move out to Texas. And I lived with my sister for probably 6 months. I helped raise my nephews. I remember getting woken up every morning with, "Hey, sissy, it's time to wake up. Sissy." Because they were little and they called me sissy. So, when I did move back out here, I started going to the Nazarene church out here. Well, I never felt, and some people are going to think this is a shock, I never felt like I belonged. I never felt like I was the right age, and I never felt like I belonged. So I'm attending this Nazarene church out here in Texas, and there's people all around my age, but there's no one my exact age. And there was one girl that was my exact age, but she ended up going off to college. So I was left by myself. And there wasn't really a college group or anything. And I was being selfish. Like, I was being extremely selfish, but I just felt like I didn't belong. I felt like there's no one my age. I felt like, all these people can reach out to me and talk to me, but none of them understand my situation and none of them understand what's going on with me. So I felt extremely distant from everything, if that makes sense. But I loved going because I loved seeing this pastor that I grew up with in California out here in Texas. And I loved that my brother-in-law was the youth pastor, and I became very involved with the youth group out here until I met a young man, and things happened, and my brother-in-law was not happy with everything that happened, and I was forced to step down out of my leadership roles, and I was forced to step down out of my worship roles, and I was forced to step down out of everything. And ever since then, my view of religion has just kind of shut down. I didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't want anything to do with the church. I didn't want anything to do with, and it wasn't the church's fault. Does that make sense? I have no one to blame but myself for everything that happened. But I just didn't feel led to go to church anymore. I didn't feel like that's where I needed to be. And mind you, by this point, my parents have moved to Texas, and they are regularly attending church now. So no longer is it me wanting my parents to go to church, it's my parents wanting me to go to church now. And I just felt kind of lost in it all, and I let it take over my life in a sense that I just pushed everybody away. I didn't want to go to church. I didn't want to be there, but I still went. I didn't want to be involved anymore. It was a lot. It was a lot to go on. In my tiny little, I was probably, 19 at the most at that time. It was just a lot for my 19-year-old mind to comprehend. And I didn't feel led to go to church. I didn't feel led to be there. I didn't feel led to participate. I didn't feel it anymore. I didn't have that connection that I had when I was 13. And so after that, I met another young man, and we dated on and off for 4 or 5 years. I don't even remember. But he was Christian, and so we attended his church, and then he ended up falling in love with the Nazarene church out here in Texas, and we regularly attended. Again, I wasn't attending for the worship. I wasn't attending for the message. I wasn't attending for anything. I was attending because that's what I was supposed to do. And my brother-in-law was the youth pastor out here again, and my sister was really involved in the church. And so that's why I was attending church, was because it looked good. It looked good for me to be there. And my boyfriend liked it. So, went because of him. Well, so my personal message is completely separate from my religious message, and I know that seems weird, but basically me and that boyfriend broke up, and I stopped attending church, and I was really only going for their special events. So Easter, Christmas, Halloween, because they did a harvest festival, but that wasn't a service, it was just a harvest festival. But I would attend around Halloween so that I could donate candy and get to go to the event. Mother's Day, Father's Day, the big days is where a lot of people are going to be there. I would go.